All right, just circling back to the EFF's election manifesto launch, which was held in Thohoyandou today, we're now joined by political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou to unpack the Red Berets' 5-year plan, which aims to address social ills in various municipalities across the country. Dr. Ndou, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Simpiwe, good evening to you. Good evening to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
Indeed, it's an absolute pleasure. What stood out for you? I mean, just considering that Malema's own writing frames this manifesto as not just a catalogue of promises, but a plan to rebuild municipalities as developmental institutions. And beyond rhetoric, what's actually new here that wasn't in the 2021 manifesto? Or is this substantially a repackaging of the same commitments?
The challenges of local government in South Africa are not new, and they are known by all of us. But what the EFF has tried to do was to provide a synopsis about the state of local government in South Africa. And when the EFF does that, they did that just weeks after the Auditor General has made findings on municipalities. And indeed, they spoke about the poor state of municipalities in terms of governance, in terms of finances and human resources. But what becomes also very important is that the EFF was able to identify those challenges, look at what the EFF has been doing where they are in different municipalities, and therefore come up with a new plan on how they're going to address these issues. Indeed, immediately after looking at the speech of the EFF, the launch of the manifesto, I quickly looked at the launch of the manifesto years back. Of course, there are a lot of issues that are similar that have been raised in this manifesto, and that's the very same issues that were raised previously. And I think what becomes very important is that there are areas that the EFF has been able to identify which have not been addressed. And I think they want to use this opportunity to try and convince people that indeed problems are there and they've got a plan to deal with those problems.
I see that the EFF is now doubling down on the land distribution issue without compensation as a local government issue. And just practically speaking, Dr. Ndou, what powers does a municipality actually have over land reform? And is invoking it here more about national brand positioning than local government competence?
The EFF is launching the manifesto in Thohoyandou, or the Member region, which is generally a rural area. And there is a lot of land that is owned by traditional leaders. But beyond that, we still have the challenges of land in South Africa, and the EFF could not do without talking about issues of the land, because that is part of their cardinal pillars as the organization. The EFF cannot miss an opportunity not to talk about the land in every given stance, because that is what we need to identify the party with, and that is what the party stands for. But I think what becomes very important now is that the EFF is saying when they are at local government, they will still do their best to intensify land ownership for the purposes of living there, for the purposes of production, and of course having to identify abandoned buildings and areas that are actually not being used. And of course, we've got a number of areas that are not being used. And I think the EFF is trying to say they could be able to do something about the land that is underutilized in this country, not only in the Member region.
And supporters at Thohoyandou say unemployment is their top concern going into this vote. So what can a municipality, with its limited revenue base and constitutional mandate, realistically do about job creation that the EFF hasn't already tried or promised where it governs?
The EFF would always pride that they've been able to talk about the insourcing of certain people that were employed or outsourced by municipalities. They will talk about what they did in Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, and the city of Tshwane. Of course, there are challenges of unemployment, and every political party would always have to play that game of having a solution in terms of job creation. Making promises and ensuring that such is implemented are two different things. And I think political parties have to talk to challenges, and they will always want to be seen to be having a solution to those challenges. And that is why the EFF talks about ensuring that young people get employed, because that is the constituency that the EFF appeals most to.
Just a quick question, Dr. Ndou. Julius Malema has expressed frustration at being forced into propping up ANC mayors in coalition government since 2021. Does this manifesto offer any coherent answer to the EFF's actual coalition dilemma, kingmaker without power, or is govern outright simply an aspirational slogan without a strategy to get there?
All political parties in South Africa, where they'll be contesting, and specifically in the metros, they should be reminded that there's no way that they're going to avoid coalitions. And of course, if you've got representatives, you need therefore to be able to have a plan in terms of issues relating to coalitions, because they are here, we're still going to have these coalitions, and you need to be able to work within those coalitions. What parties also have to do is to ensure that whoever they nominate to be part of local government should be someone who will be able to go beyond his or her own political party, because in a coalition, you have got an obligation to cooperate with other political parties in the interest of the constituency that you serve.
And in the municipalities where the EFF already has the council seats or has previously supported administrations, what is the actual governance record that voters can actually point to? I mean, does the manifesto's credibility on its own rest on delivery already demonstrated, or purely on opposition rhetoric?
I think what becomes a challenge, and indeed a challenge to most political parties, is that when they talk about their plans, they identify so many things that would also be difficult to manage. The EFF will pride itself that they've been able to ensure that there was insourcing of some people in some metros. They've also been able to create working relationship with other political parties that are there, and they ended up getting positions of responsibilities. But above all, you will still get the very same EFF and other political parties having to blame other parties for the failures in those municipalities. But above all, this is the political game, and political parties will always point at each other when it comes to issues where there are failures or non-implementation of certain things that parties would want to see them being implemented.
Dr. Ndou, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
You're always welcome. Thank you so much.
All right, political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou there, unpacking the Red Berets' 5-year plan which aims to address social ills in the various municipalities across the country.